So here we are. Howdy, I'm Digi Dane, and we are back again with another Twitter thread. I am excited to do this. A lot more people jumped in to talk about it, and without further ado, let's just get straight into it. So today we're going to be talking about what card did you believe that was going to just ruin the game or be just unbelievably broken when you first saw it, only for it to ultimately flop. Or even just be mid, right? Like all of these cards, if you managed to get out a locals win with it, that doesn't really apply here comparatively to the greater meta. Like more so when I say, good cards, I'm talking about things that are highly rated in the meta at regionals, at championships and whatnot. I don't care if you've won your locals with it. We all can win the locals on anything. All right, starting with this first example. When this card got revealed, I was looking at the amount of keywords in collision and piercing, two keywords that just absolutely complement themselves perfectly. Most of the time you would have to work for things like piercing through a card like Kosuke, which would allow you to use your collision and not just swing into one of your opponent's Digimon, which ultimately is a great effect to have, but also swinging into your opponent's Digimon while they're unsuspended and piercing over, it just kind of pushed the cake on that, right? It's also complemented by the fact that it gains Alliance and plus 3k DP, it de-digivolves, and also it stops your opponent from de-digivolving, and the Alliance and extra DP just makes it extremely aggro across the board. So all in all, this was looking like a very, very strong card. Looking at it now, though, it doesn't have protection. It is still a moderately good card, but it ends up being like a 1 or 2 of in decks that play it. You need things like X Antibody Protoform to actually get full value if you don't really have the Lord Nightmon, which is an extra card as well. At the time especially, Purple Hybrid was one of the biggest decks, which doesn't interact with the board in a way that this Digimon wants you to. They can chip check, and they were just much faster. Purple Hybrid just smashed through as fast as possible. Anyway, let's see what you all wrote in response. Starting with BB Dudes, it would probably be Galactic Mon for me. I've been a Galactic hype man since Nats. I honestly thought this would be a top threat. The only way the deck could fail is if the other best decks didn't care about Tamers and had more removal than an aesthetician. Damn it. I mean, like, I totally agree. I was looking at this card as one of the stronger cards in the meta, but like we saw that it did win our Oceanic regionals. It is a very strong card still. Maybe not so much on the level that maybe you perceived it as, considering that it's a card that essentially just says like play out a Ragnarok cannon, which is another deletes the lowest play cost, and if they're playing a stack deck, most of the time it's only going to be one Digimon on the field, and then after that you are permanently threatening lethal as long as Galactic is on the field. If they don't kill it, then start of main you're deleting something and then going for lethal. If they do kill it, they're putting so much more into trash and you're warping essentially to get back to Galactic. So I think this is a really strong card. It is just that it is a little bit slow compared to everything else at the moment. Like Megidra just runs through, Sakuya just runs fast. Yeah, and maybe Alex, our first place regionals winner, just saw the vision and pushed it further. Next up, we got Nixlack on the Dracoon X, not an SR, but recently, definitely Draco X. I've never even seen X1 played, so dude, when this card got revealed, everybody I know, including me, was like, there's no shot they printed this. This Digimon may Digivolve into Quadramon in the hand without paying the cost. It also just has everything that Examon was begging for in end of your turn. This Digimon may DNA Digivolve into a Digimon card in the hand. Man, like, this card on paper looks absolutely disgusting. Examon at its core struggles with being able to run consistency options like memory boosts, doesn't really have a great way to search, but a lot of that is kind of shortened up by the idea of having a card that is both start of main and when digivolving to just digivolve for free into Quadramon, which in theory sounds like, man, I'm just going to be able to digivolve for free and go straight into my level 5, and that's the only cost I'll really have to pay for this turn. But also, you kind of have to hard slam other Digimon. You have to have like 4 cards in a combo with the Slayer and the Breakdramon and the Examon to DNA Digivolve itself, as well as the line getting all the way to the top. I've seen people I know lab this list as much as they can because they love playing Examon. I enjoy playing Examon, and I really, really wanted to see this shore up the deck and make it feel a lot faster. It did not. It did not at all. It was just like, cool, I'm just going to miss all the pieces that I need, walk out, and then my opponent is going to kill that one stack, and then back to square one. You know, you're just never in line with how fast everything else is. Let's move on. This fucker. Thank you, Jordan. I remember on the day of reveal, everyone was going ballistic about this card and how it would break the game. And with good reason. Blocker, protection in stack, double ice wall, and removal all in one card. However, it turns out unsuspending it with EX9 was just better. I'm 90% sure he means BT9, but that's cool. Yeah, no, like I totally agree. This card, like on its release, it has so much text. It's a blocker. It ice walls you for 4. There's a reason that ice wall is at 1 because the card is obnoxious. When attacking, you can, return a card back to your deck after drawing through heaps of cards and delete a Digimon with the same level. I know for me, I've been playing a lot with this card at the current stage. I didn't want to put it out there as like my pick for the example because if you're following me on Twitter at DigiDane, I've been talking so much about Melga at the moment. I played it at the regionals that just went by yesterday, and man, the deck is a lot of fun, and it has really good matchups into a lot of the meta, except for exactly Royal Knights, unwinnable matchup. But totally agree. This is a card that, when on its face value, you're telling your opponent to do nothing for a turn, and if they do, they're just ending their turn most of the time, and then you're able to, when attacking, delete something, keep moving, destroy the board. Yeah. But the only thing is that he says protection and stack, but that alludes to the fact that it is only protection from battle. So if you block something, you can keep yourself alive. Every deck in the game at the moment is built to just pop and delete and bottom deck as they pass you by accident a lot of the time. I like to call it a drive-by, just while they're building your stack. So every deck is just like, hey, I'm going to delete you and destroy you. Melga really doesn't have the protection that it needs to survive in the current meta, which is upsetting. But this card is really good. It's a lot of fun, and I feel like I should flex my 3-star at the moment. I gotta flex the trio just a little bit at the moment. I've been having a lot of fun with this deck, so I had to cop the 3-star. But whoo, boy, these cards, man, they're nice. When you're mid-game and you slap your opponent with the Ice Wall for 4, and they're like, damn, that's a nice card. And it's like, have you read the text, though? Have you read the text? That shit's hilarious. Because I've gotten like 3 people who would just swing and forget about how, they are under Ice Wall for 4 memory. And that just, I got somebody with a Ice Wall for 8 because I managed to make 2 Melga stacks in 1 turn against somebody. So they were like double Melga X, and if they swung, they lost 8 memory. And they did. They had to. But it was so good. It felt so good. Okay, moving on. We got Sykes G2 Army. Also, I would like to add this Ukon. I think earlier I saw that you had posted a list of cards. I'd like to add Ukon. When it was revealed, my entire Digimon local community went nuts because everybody was already sick and done with the promo Ukon, and then Bandai gives us this one. He is still pretty good, but not crazy meta. I, as always, have to disagree. Now, so this is one of those things where at the time when Ukon was actually released, this particular one wasn't super heavily used because we had Imperial Dramon in the meta, Armor Rush was meta, and so these cards were this was a good card, but it didn't really fit into any decks at the time. So to its credit, this was a bit of a flop on release for the most part when you compare it to the promo Ukon, which is, when you raise from breeding, you will gain a memory. And then the hybrid decks popped out the woods, and there they just put this, and the promo Ukon was in every hybrid deck. It is still now in every hybrid deck because it does all that the card needs to. It's a rookie. The hybrid decks don't need rookies. For the most part, it searches, and then you are just going crazy with tempo. such a good card. And I think that it's always got a spot. There was definitely a point right at the last ban list where I was actually asking for this to get a hit, because it is just like a band-aid fix to a lot of decks. But the decks that it goes into and is good into a lot of the times are just like taking a good card that should be a band-aid fix to decks that don't have a third rookie set, and then slapping that card in and making that deck times 100. It's just, he's a cool little guy, but he's definitely falling off a little bit as we see some pretty hefty, decks like Megidra, decks like Sakuya, they don't need it. Royal Knights doesn't need it. So that's all a different aside. And then following up immediately with Louie, which is an interesting one because Patsakan, gotta be this lad right here. I went into the movie expecting him to be a 2 of staple in every deck. Instead, he only pops up occasionally. Well, he only pops up occasionally because he's limited to 1. Let's not get it twisted. As a Blitz Omni for decks that don't climb into a red or blue level 6. So I don't know if you know that. He's limited to 1. So he is legally, he's only going to pop up occasionally. But that being said, he was giga meta for the time. Again, with the hybrid decks, he was so crazy. Like, just being able to just cycle through 4 Ukos in like 1 turn, he was nuts. So a little bit of a miss on the prompt, I feel like, but that's okay. I think if you want to say that he was a little bit of a flop to start with, sure, because again, I don't think that a few of these cards were like discovered until hybrid meta, which was a couple of I'm not sure how many sets after BT16, but they were giga meta for a while. Oh, and then we have Sykes here back again. I don't have a specific card, give it a list. We're going to be very strong but in above. Shadow Seraphi is a really big one, I think, because we saw a lot of the Japanese meta using Shadow Seraphi, and it was like you were seeing it in every deck because it was Nume format. He was in every single Nume deck, and then I think by the time he had gotten to us, we only had him for a little bit with the Nume deck as Nume was getting hit, which really saw him fall off. And then the only real place that you could take him in as a 1-of or a 2-of in a yellow or black deck, but the only place he saw play and still sees play is basically Angels, and I think it's kind of hard to tell whether or not Angels is like phasing him out, because I just haven't seen a good Angels list recently. I'd like to. And Omegamon X BT20, the secret one, this card is pretty broken. It's pretty darn strong, dog. Maybe that's a fault of my own choices here. But that card is really strong, and you just want to hit it every single turn in Royal Knights. And every time you see it, it's nice. And every time you see it in most decks, like I'm running 2 of in the Melga, and it can clear games basically. Next up, Four Paws says, Quantum is unironically a Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic card. Bloom lists at the time, BT15-ish, could use it as a backup Bossmon, which was sick. The colors and typing held it back, unfortunately. Then Magna X dropped, and the whole insane immunity thing became normalized fast. I totally agree. If you don't know what this card does, basically when you Digivolve, you can place one of yours or your opponent's Digimon cards as like the top security. Bloom tends to go super wide, so you could just put like a rookie in your own security, reveal their security, be like, that's a crazy option card. I'm gonna put that to the top of the deck, or the Tamer, or just a Digimon. And when you put that to the top of the deck, at the start of your opponent's turn, before they draw, you get to declare a card. And because you know what card it's gonna be, this Digimon essentially just becomes immune to whatever card that you declare correctly. So if you put a Digimon card at the top of their deck, they reveal a Digimon, this Digimon becomes immune to Digimon's effects. And then you get to choose to put that to the top of the bottom of the deck. So you also help to fucking, change the course of their reality by choosing to just put the Davis Ken Tamer to the bottom of the deck. And on paper, this card theoretically always just sounded so good to me whenever I was like, I absolutely adore playing Bloom, and I wanted this card to feel so good. The only problem was that it ended up being the that you would have like one stack on board, or even if you put out like a bunch of bodies, he's just kind of this middling end to it all, and just being unaffected for a turn wasn't really that great. And then you would have to play this guessing game with your opponent's top decks for the rest of the game until they inevitably just killed it, which was really unfortunate. It's a pretty cool card that just ended up not really hitting the mark, and I think this is the perfect example of this, is having all this text, having great removal, having a way to damage your opponent for one, and also being able to manipulate their deck's draws, as well as becoming immune pretty much every turn that you hit the griddy on, you know, what card you declare the card category of. But you don't see it in Bloomlord anymore because there's better cards to run. Things like Leopard X and Bloomlord himself. The Hydramon was still a like great way to remove Digimon from this realm. So it's kind of, yeah, just super sad that this deck did not hit it, because I grabbed all 4 of the Quantums in the LM set because I love this card. It's such a nice card, and it's also just such a fun card to play with. Let's see what probable spam. There we go. Next up, we got Gladiator. They got Medusamon. When I saw the new progress keyword, I surely thought this card would be completely busted, but it hasn't found its place in the meta yet. I do think this card is itching to be broken, though. We saw a few people coming out the gates playing Medusa, like, as the set released, and doing pretty well at events. And I was kind of happy about that because, like, I'm a little bit of a red deck enjoyer, unfortunately. But yeah, like, as the meta has yet again progressed, it's definitely kind of fallen off. And like, the unfortunate thing is, after playing this so much to try and see if I could get it to a place that I like it, basically progress while attacking your opponent's effects don't affect this Digimon, so that means that they cannot ace you, which is a extremely important thing for red cards, because most red decks rely on attacking, and if your opponent aces, a lot of the time they are going to fuck you for acing. So like, I was like, oh yeah, progress is perfect for red decks. I hate that they didn't call it Firewall. God, I hate that they didn't call it Firewall. That would have been so much cooler than progress. Unfortunately, what ends up happening is every time I've played this deck, you build up one stack, you walk it out, you swing, you do 5 checks, just kill them. And then you haven't seen Omni X, or you're only doing 4 checks because you haven't gotten the perfect lineup of Sec +1, and you just end up sitting on board, not doing much. Your opponent kills the Medusa, your opponent kills the rookie or the level 4 that you played out, and then you're off for 2 turns and ready to kill yourself. It's so unfortunate because I want this card to play well so badly. And I think a big part of that is going to be the new Dimetramon promo, which is sick. It's a cool little card. I actually like that one a lot because it gives progress on a level 4 as well, which is important. But all these other things are really important as well. Being able to give your opponent a token, pop that token immediately, trash a card. Very cool deck. I really like the Medusa both as a Digimon. Like, this is her with biting little feet. Dude, I love this character. It's such a cool idea for a Digimon. But yeah, let's move on. Dog. I'm so glad you posted this. As you can see, I've already liked this because as soon as I saw you post this, this is the quintessential card to me of this thread. Basically, day one, everybody was doing their best to, I guess, pitch Paladin mode to me, and I didn't really see it. And every single fucking time I've played this card, it has been useless. Let's see what Squeaky Moose says. I did think this was going to be more of a menace than it actually was. I was quaking in my Diaboromon-shaped boots, but I really never see it come up. Totally agree. My biggest gripe with this is it's this beautiful game ender. If your opponent is playing something like Megidramon, the entire point of people playing this in that deck against Megidra is you're putting all of their cards to the bottom of the deck and then saying, fuck you, you've got nothing to play out off of Megidra. They don't care anymore about that. And even if they did, they can still cycle through so much in their deck, again, to be able to delete this and just give them, and then you're just giving them a free 5 memory. Again and again, I have tried to play this, and in end of turn when my opponent swings, and I go Paladin mode, and they do this, man, every single time, it's either a completely dead card in my hand because my opponent doesn't give me an opportunity to play it and therefore swing 4 checks and kill them in the next turn, which is the idea behind this, right? You've always wanted to be like, oh, I'm going to return this Digimon, unsuspend, return this Digimon, unsuspend, return this Digimon, unsuspend. Never! It never comes up. Your opponent always has the kill switch for this. Or they have one Digimon on field and they don't care if you're putting that one Digimon to the bottom of the deck and then doing 2 checks. This is the most fraudulent card to me personally. Whether or not it is like fraudulent for everybody else, because people top with this card in their deck, they do pretty well. Again, I just I hate it. And then level 7 Kobold with the first wave of aces. Yeah, that was like War Grey. I'm just gonna use this one. I'll get the other Melga one as an example as well. But yeah, these were like, this and the Melga were 2 of the first aces to be released for this game. And initially you look at them and you're like, damn, aces are like crazy. This is going to be kind of how like Yu-Gi-Oh has interaction in your opponent's turn. If your opponent swings, you can go into an ace, and that's a free Digivolution. You get when Digivolving effects. You get to interact with your opponent on their turn. This is great for the game. Unfortunately, I totally agree, like, with Mr. Kobold here. This and the Melga were just so completely underwhelming because they do fucking nothing. It's a blocker that when your opponent removes a card from the security stack, you can unsuspend this Digimon once and then it can block again. Like 4 levels to just how bad this is. 1, it doesn't have protection. 2, it has 11k DP to start with, and you have kind of just got to hope that you get to, buff that up in an all turns effect. It was possible, especially in War Grey, to get this up to like 13, 14k, but it's bad. And then if it's suspended and they are hitting security and then you're digivolving and then like unsuspending after they hit security, by that time it was useless anyway. It's just this no-brainer terrible card. And it just presented your opponent 4 memory for free. But it was like something that, especially with, aces being introduced to the game in the first place, we were like, holy shit, like this is new territory. We're getting to play in our opponent's turn. We get to do things that we didn't expect. Like, aces in concept at this time were just awesome. The only thing is, they fucking sucked. And I'm glad that they really iterated on aces since then, because now aces are just a core part of the game. Yeah, good pick. Good pick on that one. All right, I said I wasn't really going to do any of the YouTube post comments, but I saw this one in particular, and I totally fucked with it. Not gonna lie, when I saw the Susanomon Ace for the first time when it was revealed, I was 100% sure it would be the second card to be banned. I was very wrong, to say the least, lol. I love this. Thank you, at Bad, because, okay, we go over this card really quickly. If you look at this from, like, the outset, essentially this card is able to go over any color in the game. You can, blast Digivolve over any level 6 in the game because it goes over any color. So it's just this hyper generic card that when Digivolving, you delete it 10k or less. And then for each other color that you have in its Digivolution cards, add 2k. So if you have a dual color deck in like a black-red or something like that, you're at least popping like a 14k DP deletion. Then it's also when attacking, and as well it has a second when attacking. Neither of these effects are once per turn, so you get to, like, if you have a deck that is able to digivolve into this, you go when attacking, pop something, unsuspend, swing again, pop something. Awesome. Holy moly. When attacking, by placing up to 5 Tamer cards from this Digimon's Digivolution cards as your bottom security cards, for each one, trash your opponent's top security card. To this day, I have read this like 10 times. I have no clue how you're supposed to get more than 1 Tamer card underneath this. Like, because like when I saw it and I read it for the first time, I was like, oh yeah, you could just like, I thought like the idea of placing Tamer cards was you're taking them off the field and then just putting them straight into your security, not from its Digivolution cards. So I was like, so when somebody explained that to me, I was like, how was I supposed to get more than 1 Tamer card underneath here? And so you kind of ultimately only end up putting 1 Tamer card underneath it. Maybe somebody has a way to do that, but that I just don't know. Maybe you do something like the like mind links, but you can only really put 1 mind link underneath a Digimon at a time. So it's kind of like, are you doing a combo where you go like mind link, swing, I don't think there's many decks that mind link and also unsuspend. Really difficult one for me to think about. Maybe Fenriluga? I don't know, dog. But this card looks on the surface like it is giga, like it is crazy, it's awesome. Only for it to really be used in like one deck, and that is Red Hybrid, and only one person I know of is psycho enough to actually run it specifically in his Red Hybrid, and that is Jackie Chan, not the actor, but the chef himself. And it works pretty well for him in that deck. And I agree with that. Like running it in Red Hybrid is a good way to, put a card back into security and swing, and also pop something as well as trash in a deck that needs as much gas as possible. So this was like a really funny one because, yeah, you're just, again, same kind of thing with like Paladin mode. Sometimes you're just putting out like, something that is over 4/5 and that's it. Anyways, that is the Twitter thread. Thank you all for engaging and joining in another one of these threads. I really enjoy doing these. They're a lot of fun, especially when they kind of creep through during the week. Just seeing another one pop up and then I read it, I'm like, oh, that's awesome. But yeah, thank you for joining if you did. Put down in the comments if you think you've got a really good question I could ask for another Twitter thread in the future. If not, I'll be trying to think of as many as possible in the next coming weeks, considering that now I'm getting a little bit more followers on Twitter, so I'm happy to actually post, not to just the void. So if you haven't yet, follow me on @DigiDane, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.